say good evening. I'm Paige Brown. I'll be moderating this evening. And my first experience with this, so I hope I do a good job for all of our candidates and for you here this evening. I would like to, on behalf of Sumner United for Responsible Government, to welcome you here tonight. It is the forum for those seeking election in the 18th District for the state Senate seat. I'd also like to thank you all for being here. It shows your interest in our community, in this race, and certainly in our state. I'd like to welcome our interim state senator, who's back in the back, Mr. Farrell Hale. A gentle reminder to everybody to turn your cell phones to silent or vibrate so that we can give our full attention to the candidates this evening. And before we begin this evening, I would like to ask that we do have a moment of silence for the victims of the shootings this weekend in Arizona. If you bow your heads, please. Thank you very much. So now we're ready to get started. I'm going to read through the format for this evening's event so that everyone will know how it's going to run. The forum is going to consist of 3 sections. We will begin with 2-minute opening statements by each candidate, followed by questions submitted by the public, and end with a closing statement from each candidate. The candidates are sitting in a random order, and it was an order that was drawn just prior to this evening's event. During the question portion of the forum, I'm going to ask questions that have been supplied to me by Sumner United for Responsible Government. None of the candidates have received any of the questions in advance. Each question will be answered by 3 candidates. They will start with the candidate closest to me and then go in order. After the candidate at the end answers a question, we will then start again back with the candidate closest to me. Because of the seating of the candidates is random, the result is that each candidate will also be receiving the questions randomly. And because we have 7 candidates, this rotation will allow each candidate to be the first to answer some questions, the second to answer some questions, and the last to answer some questions. Each candidate will receive a total of 5 questions, time permitting. Each candidate will have a maximum of 90 seconds to answer each question. In addition, each candidate has been given a red card. You all have your red cards? They may raise that red card 1 time during the question portion of the forum to receive an additional 90 seconds of speaking time. They may use this card to answer a question they didn't receive, make a rebuttal, or to have additional time to answer a question or make a statement. Once the red card is used, I will recognize the card holder immediately, following whoever is currently speaking. Since this is a forum and not a debate, the candidates are asked to address all answers to the moderator or to the audience and never to another candidate. Throughout the forum, candidates will be alerted when they have 30 seconds remaining by waving a yellow sign, and will be alerted that time is up by waving a red sign. We will now begin the forum with opening statements from each candidate, starting with the candidate closest to me and continuing in order. We do ask that you all hold your applause until all the candidates have made their opening statements. Mr. Slater, you may begin.
Thank you so much, Paige. It's good to be here with you tonight. And if you're in this room this evening, then at the very least, you're politically interested. And at the most, you're a political activist. And I come from a family of political activists. I'm the middle child. I have 5 brothers and sisters above me, 5 brothers and sisters below me. So if there ever were a middle child syndrome, I'm the poster child for that. And but my family has always been politically active, but no politicians in the family. And I remember, like it were yesterday, on the day that my dad gave to me a letter that he had written to Richard Nixon. I was probably about 7, 8 years old, and he handed it to me. It was in an envelope. It was typed out to the White House, and I carried that to the mailbox. And as I carried it to the mailbox, I felt like I was on an official journey. Not so much because it was going to the president, but because my dad, in my eyes, he knew everything. And he was going to tell Washington what to do. And so I come from a long line of folks that are political activists. And I appreciate so much you being here tonight, you being interested in the political process, you being active in supporting candidates and making sure that you hold candidates accountable. And I've been involved in supporting candidates, and I've been involved in holding candidates accountable as well, both here in the district and then by going to Nashville and even going to Washington at times as well, making sure that we hold candidates accountable for what they say and accountable to the Constitution. Thank you so much for your interest this evening.
Again, I want to share Mr. Slater's thought and welcome all of you for being here. Appreciate your interest. I just kind of want to tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Kenneth Wilbur, but most everyone calls me Ken. I was born in Portland in 1954, and I've been part of Sumner County ever since, a lifelong resident. I graduated from high school at Portland in 1972. And 3 years later, I married the most beautiful lady in the world. My wife, Jackie, is here tonight. We've been married for 35 and a half years. She is presently a librarian at Gateview Elementary School in Portland, and she graduated from Ball State and later graduated from Western Kentucky with a master's degree. I have 3 children. Matthew, my oldest son, is a youth minister in Smyrna, Tennessee. His wife is a teacher at Portland West Middle School. And this past year, they gave us the most beautiful granddaughter in the world at 4 months named Darby. I have a middle son named Jared. He is a county executive at Portland Leader in Portland. His wife, Hannah, is a home health therapist, physical therapist that travels to the homes. I have a daughter named Sabrina. She is a nuclear medicine technician in Washington Hospital in Washington, D.C. Most all of my last 20 years of my life, I've been in public service. I've been mayor for Portland for 5.5 years. I was on the city council for 8 years. 4 of those was as vice mayor. I actually worked for the city for about 7 years, and part of that was as public works superintendent. The rest of my life has been mainly in plumbing, electric, and construction, utility construction, either on the supply end or the construction end. I've been in the ditch, been on the equipment, I've been in management, so I've been in all areas of that. I think that as we talk about, politics, that we need to go to our state and really hold our state accountable, and I look forward to be a part of that. I was raised in a very modest home. We had a very humble home and a very strong faith, and we had to be very conservative. And I upheld those values today, and I look forward to going to the state and being your state senator.
It's time for me to go. My name is Fred Congdon, and I certainly appreciate the opportunity to be here to talk to you tonight. I have lived in Sumner County for 17 years. I've lived in Middle Tennessee for 20 years. I could give you my whole family background, but let's get down to what's important tonight. And what's important tonight is what needs to be done in the state government. Just found out that the governor said there would be no layoffs in state government. Folks, that's not right. We've got too much fat in state government. We need to cut spending in state government. So I just wanted to hit you with that first of all. Let me give you a little bit about my background. When I got out of college, my senior year in college, I started a business. I was successful in that business. The people in Unicoi County liked me well enough to elect me as their county clerk. I served 2 terms as county clerk in Unicoi County and then ran against the incumbent county executive who'd been there for 20 years. I won that race and served as county executive. And then the county executives around the state decided that they'd like to have me represent them in Nashville. So I've been in Nashville doing what we all are talking about doing, working to make sure the state doesn't pass unfunded mandates down to local government. I've been doing that and protecting the property tax interest of people for the past 20 years. I want to be your state senator. I think I'm qualified, and I think my experience is there. So go to www.fredcongdon.com to find out more. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Kerry Roberts, and I'm delighted to be here, and I'm so grateful for this forum tonight to give us a chance to connect with you and share what's on our mind. You know, about 2 years ago, a movement began. And a movement began where people got together. They were really concerned over what the government was charging us. And people met together on the steps of courthouses and in rallies on April 15th. And they sent a message to the government that we're taxed enough already. And this movement led to meetings. It led to groups getting together. People got together. They studied the Constitution. They talked about the way government ought to work versus the way it does work. But we started discussing issues like the 10th Amendment. We started using words like enumerated powers. Things that we really hadn't discussed before. And as this movement became an interesting government where we realized that we just about have the government that we deserve. And unless we step up to the plate, unless we try and make a difference, that government that we deserve will continue. And that oppressive government will continue to tax us, it will continue to spend, it will continue to grow out of control until people like us step up and try and make a difference. And so I decided it was time to try and make a difference, that I had to put my money where my mouth is to see what I could do. And we're facing a lot of issues in this state. We're facing illegal immigration. We're facing the fight against radical Islam and the encroachment of Sharia law into our court system. And of course, we have the issues of the 10th Amendment. If you're looking for someone who's going to be politically correct, who's going to go to Nashville just to see if they can get along, I'm not your candidate. But if you're looking for someone who's going to go to Nashville and fight for the things that we believe in, I am that candidate. Thank you.
I'm going to stand because I can't see the people in the back where I'm sitting, so I think it's important everybody gets to see. I want to thank all of you for coming. My name is Brian Bondrett, and I'm also a candidate. But I'm overwhelmed by the outpouring here because it shows that interest that I'm not sure has been there up until now, because you know, we had the holidays to contend with, and people are just now getting engaged. But I am a conservative. I am a Republican. I am a Christian. Don't make any bones about that. I'm also a community servant. I'm a small business owner, actually 3 small business owners. I'm also a veterinarian, and I've been a veterinarian for 25 years, 21 of them, almost 22 in this community. I didn't exactly seek this position. This position kind of sought me. I was asked to consider running for this position, and I've been asked to serve in different capacities in county commission, city council, school board, all that for several years, and I always said no. But the person asking me, one of the people asking me, you know, I've known them a long time, and they are in a representative in Nashville already, and I told them I would seriously consider it. So after working through how I would take care of my businesses if I went to Nashville, the only thing I knew to do at that point was to pray about this. And I was praying to God to slam the doors in my face if this is not what you want me to do. So, needless to say, no doors have shut, and several of them have gone wide open. I'm humbled by the number of people that have, an overwhelming amount of people that have come up to me and thanked me for stepping out and running for this office. It's been amazing, and it keeps me energized to continue to go in that direction. Why am I the best choice? I feel like my community service and my years of real world experience make me extremely qualified. Thank you.
My name is Joe Warren Jones, and I'm a CPA. I've been practicing here in Gallatin for about 33 years. And today we stand at a crossroads in our country, similar to that of our forefathers stood some 235 years ago. Our republic is in trouble. We must save it at all costs. The last 2 years, the rapidity at which debt has risen, and we've headed down the road to socialism is scared me. That's why I'm here. We've got to save this republic. Benjamin Franklin is quoted as saying, Those that would give up their liberty for safety deserve neither. And I agree with him. And I will not go gently into the night that we are headed into and down the road of socialism. I will defend our Constitution and these citizens against all foreign and domestic enemies. And regardless, this is important, regardless of who gets the seat or whatever, there's some tough decisions that have to be made. I know just today I saw where the new electees for the congressional and the federal were talking about the same thing. It's going to be a tough battle trying to get cuts, but we've got to do it. We've got to make them now, and as we've got lots that we can cut in our government. And we must not go down the road to socialism. And by all means, people, we must be engaged in our government. And we must, an engaged people will be a knowledgeable people, and a knowledgeable people will not lose their liberties.
I'm Jeff Scrummett. I'm from Goodletts. Raised all my life in the Middle Tennessee area. So I'm a contractor. I'm a building contractor. But I want to relate a little story. I'll relate this to my building business. But as a builder, we go through plans. And in those plans, the most critical part of that plan is the foundation that we have. And that foundation in the public servant area is the Constitution. That's the foundation that we have to work by. And that's where we start. The key to it all will be from this. But as we build that house, we get it dried in. Can y'all hear me? I'm sorry. As we built that house, we get it dried in. Then we put the windows in, because that house, when we dry it in, without those windows, there's darkness in there. So in drying it in, we throw those windows in there. That brings that light that from the outside in. And I want you to know, I walk in that light as a Christian and as part of God's family. That light comes from the Bible here. The Word of God gives me that. And so I think these two go together. And the last thing on building that house, or one of the other things we have in building that house, is the doorways that we have where people can come in. And I want to be the servant that door is always open for you to come in and we can share with each other. So there was three things in that we have. We have the Constitution, we have the Bible, and we have us together. It won't be me, it would be us.